Hey people, John here from Fast Films, and today we're going to go through a 2018 biography drama crime movie called Believe Me, Abduction of Lisa McVeigh. The movie opens in Tampa, Florida in November 1984. A young lady, Lisa, can be seen working in a donut shop. Lisa attends to her customers with a cute smile on her face. Just as she's about to finish her shift, her boss, Ed, asks if she'll be willing to work a double shift the next day, and Lisa agrees to it. After the day's work, Lisa picks up her bicycle and starts riding home. On her way home, she looks sad and terrified. A quick flashback scene then shows Lisa's grandmother's boyfriend, Morris, taking advantage of Lisa. Back in the present day, Lisa rides past a black car which looks suspicious by the way it's parked. Upon arriving home, Lisa looks terrified of entering but later summons courage and enters. The next morning, Lisa sits down and writes a letter that she keeps in her bag. Seconds later, the phone rings and her grandmother informs Lisa that it's her sister, Lori, wants to speak with her. Lori tells Lisa how much she misses her and wishes that she could come to visit her. Lori then gives the phone to their mother, Betty. Betty tells Lisa that the reason she is staying with her grandmother, Diane, is to help her. Before leaving for work, Morris stops Lisa and tells her to bring home her paycheck. Terrified, Lisa agrees to do so and leaves for work. During the day, Lisa attends to the customers wearing a cute smile like nothing is happening to her at home. Later that night, Ed pays Lisa, and she leaves after thanking Ed for promoting her. On her way home, Lisa spots the same black car from yesterday. Just then, the car's owner, Bobby Joe, comes out and subdues Lisa. He threatens her with a gun and forces her to enter the car. He then proceeds to forcefully make out with Lisa. After he's done, Bobby exclaims that Lisa is very good at it and wonders who taught her. Bobby decides that he is not yet done with Lisa. Bobby blindfolds Lisa and starts driving away from the scene. As they travel, Lisa tries to take in every detail of her environment. Soon afterward, they arrive at Bobby's house. Bobby drags Lisa into his apartment and tells her that no one is going to disturb them. He instructs Lisa to take her clothes off, and Lisa agrees immediately. He then proceeds to bathe her before forcefully making out with her again. Before going to bed, Bobby reminds Lisa that he has a gun in case she tries to do anything funny. Bobby asks Lisa's name, and she lies that her name is Carol. The following day, Diane is seen at the police station casually reporting that she hasn't seen Lisa. A police officer also visits Betty and Lori, but Betty says Lisa isn't with them. She claims that her daughter might have eloped with someone, but Lori defends Lisa instead. Now at Bobby's place, Lisa tries having a civil conversation with him, and she calms Bobby down. Elsewhere, Officer Lopez visits Lisa's boss to inform him of Lisa's disappearance. After asking a series of questions, Lopez believes Lisa must have hurt herself. Soon afterward, Bobby learns of the news that Lisa is still a teenager and gets mad at her. Lisa tries to explain to Bobby that she's turning 20 very soon. Later on, Lisa informs Bobby that she needs to use the bathroom. Upon getting to the bathroom, Lisa begs Bobby to give her some privacy, and he agrees. After Bobby's departure, Lisa locks the door and starts thinking of what to do. She removes her blindfold to get a better view of the bathroom. She then proceeds to touch every corner and sink in the bathroom so her fingerprints can be on them. Seeing that Lisa is staying too long, Bobby barges in and threatens to terminate Lisa if she does anything funny. Lisa begs to pour Bobby a glass of water, and he agrees. Lisa also uses this opportunity to get a good look at the apartment. During the night, Lisa wakes up while Bobby is sleeping. Just as she's about to dial 911, Bobby appears behind her and stops her. Bobby gets angry, but Lisa lies that her father is sick and she only wants him to know that she is alive and well. Satisfied with Lisa's answer, Bobby decides not to hurt Lisa. The following day, Lisa pulls a strand of her hair and puts it under Bobby's bed. While she is there, Lisa remembers all the good times she has had with her sister. Later that night, Bobby learns of the news that the police are looking for Lisa. Bobby gets hysterical and decides it is time to get rid of Lisa. He wakes Lisa and tells her to put on some clothes. He then drags her to his car. Minutes later, they stop at a gas station. Lisa tries to leave the vehicle, but Bobby stops her. Desperate, Lisa bites her fingers and rubs the blood on the car's seat. Shortly afterward, Bobby and Lisa arrive at a secluded, wooded area, and he holds a gun to Lisa's head. Lisa starts pleading for her life, and Bobby decides to spare her. He tells Lisa to tell the cops the wrong information about him. After untying Lisa, Bobby runs to his car and drives off. Seconds later, Bobby looks through his side mirror and sees Lisa running for her life. At that moment, Bobby changes his mind and decides to go after Lisa again, but she manages to escape. Shortly afterward, Lisa arrives home and was out of breath. Diane and Morris question her whereabouts. When Lisa tells them that she was kidnapped, the duo doesn't believe her. Morris brings out his belt to strike Lisa, but Diane stops him. Diane then calls the cops to inform them that Lisa is back home. Diane tells the cops that Lisa is making up a story about her being kidnapped. Upon hearing this, Officer Lopez informs Diane that Lisa will be taken in for questioning. The next day, Lopez sits down to take Lisa's statement. Lisa explains everything she went through in detail to Lopez, but he doesn't believe her. He asks if Lisa is making the story up, but Lisa says no. Shortly afterward, two female detectives, Russell and Castle, arrive to chat with Lisa. Lisa carefully explains everything to the detectives, but they don't believe her either. Lisa gets frustrated and starts crying because no one is believing her story. Now in the conference room, Lieutenant Dutton is informing the cops about an elusive serial killer who has taken numerous lives. He explains that all his victims are female. The lieutenant then tells Sergeant Pinkerton to give the tier of police officers more information on what they have gathered so far on their wanted man. Pinkerton motivates the cops and lets them know that they have to work harder in order to catch their unknown assailant. After the meeting, Detective Russell approaches Pinkerton and tells him about Lisa. She says she doesn't believe her, but Pinkerton can sit down to hear what she has to say. Pinkerton enters the room where Lisa is sitting and comforts her. He tells Lisa that he believes her and he would want her to give more details of her time with her abductor. Lisa then explains everything to Pinkerton and he immediately believes her. He then tells Russell that Lisa didn't make the story up because the level of the details she provided was extraordinary. Pinkerton then says he will ask her parents for consent so they can put Lisa under hypnosis. Later in the day, the cops call Betty's home to inform her about Lisa's return, but she doesn't seem to care at all. Soon afterward, Pinkerton calls Morris to inform him about their intention to put Lisa under hypnosis, but Morris refuses. Upon hearing this, Pinkerton approaches Lisa and asks her if there is anything shady going on back home. He assures Lisa she can trust him. Lisa then tells him about everything Morris has been doing to her. Immediately, Pinkerton goes over to Lisa's home and arrests Morris for assault on a minor. Lisa then packs her belongings and prepares to leave the house with Pinkerton. Before leaving, she stops and looks Diane in the eyes. She asks why Diane didn't protect her, but Diane remains mute. Afterward, Pinkerton takes Lisa to a friend of his, McKinley, so she can stay at her house for the meantime. Lisa tells Pinkerton that she only has her Uncle Jim and Aunt Carol living east of Tampa Bay. During the night, Lisa wakes up from a bad dream and starts screaming, but McKinley comforts her and assures her that she is safe. The following day, Lisa keeps giving Pinkerton more details about Bobby. She describes how his face is. She says she didn't get to see his face, but she touched it and was able to make out what he looks like from it. She also tells Pinkerton that Bobby is trying to get back at a woman because she has broke his heart in the past. Later that day, Pinkerton approaches the lieutenant and says it's possible that Lisa's assailant is the serial killer they've been looking for. Dutton doesn't believe Pinkerton, and Pinkerton asked him to send Lisa's clothes to the FBI for processing. Dutton says their resources are thinned out, but Pinkerton tells him to take it out of his budget. Dutton then tells Pinkerton that if Lisa's assailant is who they have been looking for, that means Lisa is loose end to him. Upon hearing this, Pinkerton runs over to McKinley's house to pick up Lisa. He then takes Lisa to a safe house for minors in the justice system so she can stay low for some time. Later that night, Pinkerton, her daughter, Sarah, and Lisa visit a donut shop to have dinner. The next day, Dutton informs Lisa that the fibers found on Lisa's clothes match the ones on their wanted man's victims. Upon hearing this, Pinkerton is happy and he quickly informs the rest of the force. Shortly afterward, Pinkerton tells Lisa that he would like to take her back to the place that she was abducted. From there, Lisa is able to retrace her movements, and this gives the cops a 2-mile search radius. One afternoon, a detective, Wolf, is patrolling the search radius when he spots Bobby's car. He immediately stops him and asks him some questions before taking his picture. After taking his picture, Wolf lets him go. Bobby's picture is then shown to Lisa and she immediately identifies him. The following night, Bobby Joe is arrested in front of a movie theater. Forensics searches his house and car for all the evidence Lisa has left there for them to find. After his arrest, Bobby tells the cops that the only reason he was caught because he didn't terminate Lisa. He reveals that there is something special about Lisa. Lisa is applauded for her bravery and ability to help with the case. Up next, Pinkerton offers Lisa a place at his house, but she politely declines and goes to live with her Aunt Carol and Uncle Jim. She tells Pinkerton he hasn't seen the last of her, and the two share an emotional goodbye before she drives away. Lisa also sends the letter she was writing at the beginning of the movie to her mother. She informs Betty that she will grow up to have a happy and fulfilled life unlike her. The following information is then given about Lisa. Lisa lived with her aunt and uncle for a few years. Lisa became a sheriff's deputy, specializing in sex crimes and working to protect children. Lisa has a grown daughter and a beloved granddaughter. Lisa remains friends with Larry Pinkerton, who still refers to her as the #1 hero of his career. Bobby Joe remains on death row. Thanks for watching, guys.